This episode of Jack is brought to you by Weaver Leather.
These are some of the exercises he's going to need before I'm comfortable tying him, because this walking away and holding this pressure, I am getting him used to the stick and string, but I'm also finding out how he would tie, because if he's tied up and something spooks him, he still needs to respect this pull on the halter. And right now I'm pretty sure that I can't drag him into a trot. Not very well. I'll keep trying. So he doesn't really come forward off from pressure. So if he doesn't truly come forward, forward is not his first thought. It needs to be his first thought before I tie him up, because it's going to be a lot safer for him if he understands. I mean, he can just flat get hurt, and it's not fair to him if you just tie him to a wall and let him fight it out. He could injure himself. So he needs to have his first response when he feels pressure. His first response needs to be forward. Okay. I'm going to show you a very important exercise right now, even though it's one of my least favorite ones. It's exhausting. That's the only way to describe it. The reason I haven't done this earlier is because I haven't known him well enough. Right now I'm pretty comfortable. I can keep him out of my space for what I'm going to be doing enough with my arms and my end of my rope, so I'm going to put down my stick and string, because I'm going to need this. When I had a few girls working for me, I had 3 different girls that were working for me all at one time a few years ago, and when the colts would get to this stage, we would take turns, and you're going to see why, because it really gets you winded. And so I'm going to go ahead and show you this exercise. So the exercise is really pretty simple and straightforward, and I don't feel like I don't know where it's going to go today with him. I don't know if he'll get it figured out or if he won't, but it'll be good for showing everybody. So the idea is that before I tie him, I want to make sure he gives to pressure. Now you could do this a bunch of different ways. You could, some people will pony horses because you can use the strength of another horse. I have always liked doing this method this way, on foot, by hand, but it's hard. It's better if you can hand off the horse to different people. So anyway, let me move my mic real quick. Okay, Jack. So what I'm going to do is I've got this 24-foot long rope, and I'm going to jog out here ahead of Jack, and when I hit the end of the line, I'm going to pull on it. And it doesn't look that bad. I've watched a lot of people do it, but after you do this a few times, it starts to get tiring. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure out this rope. My running ahead gives him warning, and then I'm going to throw my weight right into that rope. So I kind of wrapped it around my waist there. And the idea is that he's going to start to catch on to the fact that when I'm running ahead of him, that I'm going to run ahead, and then there's going to be a little pop at the end where I'm going to pull him forward. Again, you'll see people do this with horses where you pony him, and eventually I'll pony him from popcorn. But I like this because you're less likely to force the horse. The horse has to figure out that pressure thing. There's a lot more warning too. I can feel him, even though I can't see him the whole time. I can feel him. I can feel his response, so I can tell that he's coming forward more now, and I like the idea that he starts to catch on. I better get going. She's going to hit the end of that rope. It's important that I get up there. It's amazing if you do this exercise with some older horses. You'll find 10, 12-year-old horses that if you run out there and do this, they will rear and pull back because they don't really give to pressure well. You're doing good, Jack. I'm going to jog out here, give him a little more rope. And again, even if today all I do is plant seeds, I can feel him coming forward, so that's good. But even if all I do is plant seeds today, I'll expect to see the fruit tomorrow or the next day. You'll notice I'm going left and right. I was going in a circle clockwise. Now I'm going to go back to counterclockwise. Stiff. A little up here. I'll try. It doesn't matter what time of year, how many you do. Because you're pulling surprisingly hard when you do it. There I fed him out a little bit more rope, so I gave him an extra maybe 4 feet, and he came forward before I hit the end, which means he's catching on. There, he let me hit him. He still came forward. There we go. That was nice. And good breaks too. So that's where he finally caught on to the fact that when I start going away, he better get up there before I hit the end of the rope. And then right there is what I said. I felt like he was being respectful enough that I could put down the stick and string for this little bit of time and still keep him out of my space. Other ways that people train horses to tie up, I've known people who just tie them to a wall when they're 2 or 3 days old. Not recommended, because even though they're small and it doesn't seem like they could do as much damage, they can hurt themselves even if they're not going to break things. I've known other people who tie them to donkeys or other things that can drag them around. I like this method because the horse and I are communicating. He's figuring out that, you know, he's learning more about me than if I just tie him up to a wall where he could get injured and he doesn't really have any communication. There's also ponying him, which will be another stage that I'm going to do a little bit later down the road. Before I ride him, I'll pony him, and I'll talk a little bit more about it then. But this is what I like to do.
Tune in next time as the conversation between Stacy and Jack continues.